Okay, so A Realm Reborn has so many boss fights, or trials is what they are like to be called, and I'm only going to be going over about 10 of my most favorite ones to least favorite ones. Now, first thing first, I like to say is that I will be doing other expansions, but A Realm Reborn is going to be the first one, considering the fact it's the biggest one, and it's the first one in the game, of course. Now, if you have played Final Fantasy XIV yourself, you already know that it has some very unique boss fights. A lot of them are some of the best boss fights I have ever played in a video game ever. They are great when it comes to its story content, then it's also great when it comes to its battle and music alone. So, in this video, we are going to be going over each and every one of them based off of the boss alone, also the music and the mechanics. Now, I'm not going to be going very deep into the mechanics here because I am not that kind of person. I pay attention to the mechanics when I'm playing it, but when it comes to explaining it and all that, it might be here all day, and I don't want to be here all day. So let's go ahead and dive right into it, starting with number 10. 10. Ifrit. Now, Ifrit is the most known summon or primal inside of the Final Fantasy series. Of course, whenever you think about a summon or a primal or an icon, Ifrit is one of those that are going to be showing up the most because they are shown throughout the entire series. But here, I just want to talk about the fight here and why I rank it at number 10. The reason why I rank it at number 10 is because it's the most basic and the first boss fight you ever face in the game. It's not too much uniqueness unless you get to extreme trials, but we're not talking about extreme trials here. We might do that at some point in the future, but right now I just think Ifrit is the lowest because it's the most basic in the entire game when it comes to its boss fights. So, but that's not too off from what our next one is. Coming in number 9, we have Titan. Now, Titan has a little bit more of an edge over Ifrit because of one reason, and that reason is its music. Its music, it's a little bit more better here. It has a lot more great sounds when it comes to its fight. And Titan, of course, it's not the biggest when it comes to its mechanics or even its boss fight in general. It's just another summon or another boss fight that's kind of early on in the story that's pretty decent in my eyes, but so many of you may actually like this. Now, of course, the fight is a little bit more unique when it comes to its extreme trial, but that's not something we're going to be discussing here. Only going to be focusing on the story. Coming in number 8, we have Vishap. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but Vishap. Now, the reason why this comes up pretty close is because of the fact that Vishap is probably straightforward, just like Ifrit and Titan. I love the music here. Like, seriously, the music in this one area, this fight here, is great. It's so good. But it also tells you exactly what the vibe is going to be going on with Heaven's Ward coming up soon, dealing with dragons, and that's also pretty awesome there. But it doesn't rank it very high on my list because of the reason that the mechanics for this fight is literally just do as much damage as you can, get all the ads, and then shoot the cannons if you can do it. And don't let him reach the end of the goal. And that's pretty much the whole thing about this trial. It's not very much to it, but really it's so much more than Titan and Ifrit. And one of the main reasons why I rank it even more higher is just because of its music itself. Coming in at number 7, we have Gilgamesh. Now, some of you may think to me like, Anthony, that's kind of cheating. That's not a story-based one. Yes, I know. It's not a story-based one, but I like the Gilgamesh fight, really. Now, of course, it's part of the Hildebrand quest line that you have to do, but for me, whenever it came to a lot of references to past Final Fantasies, Gilgamesh has been always one of my most favorite bosses to fight because it's so unique to see what world he ends up being in next and how they actually implement him into the game. And one day, whenever we start doing the more stronger trials, I will show footage for that one. But for now, we're just gonna have the first Gilgamesh fight. Next up, we have Leviathan, which comes in number 6, a little bit above Gilgamesh. Now, the reason why I put Leviathan a little bit above Gilgamesh is because of the fact that it has a lot more mechanics that are far more interesting to deal with. Now, instead of with all these other fights that were beforehand, a lot of these other fights were very straightforward. There wasn't too much to it, but really, you had to mainly focus on damage the most. Now, there are some cases where you're like, okay, hey, I gotta go do this with the ads, but with Leviathan, there's actually a little bit more to it, considering the fact that this boss only moves in 4 different areas. It's probably one of the first ones to actually be a little bit outside the arena, and it forces you to actually be like, hey, we need someone on this side and that side, and we need to take out these other extra ads while also trying to defend ourselves from his big attack, which is Tidal Wave. Now, the music, of course, is another reason. The music here is, of course, on top of everything else that comes before all of this. But I have to say it's not the best, but it's still good. Coming in number 5, we have Naborius. I believe that's the right way to say it. It's been quite some time since I've actually heard his name. But I put him at number 5 because of the fact that it's another great story moment. If you are actually playing through the story or the MSQ, you will notice that the fight here is actually quite great to play against. And the music, I actually enjoy it because it has this nice, deep, menacing tone for the Asians. It gives you like a little bit of more of a vibe of how much of a danger these people are. And this is probably one of the one fights that you will have with the ASEAN that you will always be playing as well, considering the fact that it's pretty early on in A Realm Reborn. And many people are going to be playing this a whole lot whenever they're first getting started. But it's your first ASEAN fight, and I actually really enjoy this moment right here. Coming in number 4, we have Garuda. Now, Garuda is another great common summon, but the reason why she comes up very higher than the other ones is because, one, the music here is awesome. Now, a lot of people consider Garuda some of their favorite trial music in A Realm Reborn, but I'll have to say that comes to it someone else in a moment. But I love the music here because it's really good. It fits with Garuda, with her craziness and all that. And it just, it goes with the vibes very well, especially with the name of the song, which is Fallen Angel. And if you think of Garuda as a fallen angel, well, there you go. Now, her fight is pretty simple in itself as well. It's mainly just defend yourself from her feathers with rocks, but whenever the rocks are gone, you pretty much have to focus on her, take out any of the ads that might get in your way, but it's pretty straightforward like the other ones. And I think the only reason why she gets a really huge buff is because of the fact that I really enjoy fighting her a lot more. It feels basic, but it still gets you a little bit more moving around alongside with great music. Coming in number 3, which is when I think the game takes a huge turn when it comes to its trials, and that is Shiva. Shiva is amazing. It's so amazing. If there were these other 2 that was not in this game or much later, she will probably be at number 1, but she's not. She's at number 3 for a reason. Now, let's talk about the mechanics here. Now, the mechanics here, of course, is a lot more stepped up. You can see that they've been having a little bit more improvement. There's a bunch of AoEs that you gotta look after. She has unique abilities based off of what form and weapon she acquires. Now, the music here is also great. It has this nice tone to it that you can just listen to, and it gets you just ready to fight Shiva. And let's not forget her most powerful ability, which is amazing to watch, and it just sounds great. Like, you can even tell by the sound cues that they even put a lot of work into it. And I hope many of you understand exactly how I feel when it comes to Shiva and her trial. Coming in at number 2, which is probably my most favorite song when it comes to these trials, but we're not only judging music here, and that is Ramu. Ramu has a great theme in my opinion. His theme is so good. It just like has this nice, chill, but also like, yo, this guy is powerful feeling in the music. And that's what I pretty much get from his song. It's called Thunder Rolls. It sounds funny saying it in general, but like whenever you listen to the music, it just, it hits really good. Now the mechanics for his fight is a lot more intense. Here you have to have more of a map awareness. You have to be aware of where you are, where he's going to be striking, and how much is it that you need to acquire as far as buffs and debuffs goes. Now, if you do not pay attention to Ramu and what he's doing, he can and he will wipe out the party very good. His extreme version is pretty much insane. Now, I don't have footage for that right now, but when we get there, oh, we will get there. But his fight is very unique because like I feel like it's very fun to actually do. You have to really focus on what you're doing on the battlefield and what it is the rest of your party is doing as well. Coming in at number 1, which I consider to be the best trial in A Realm Reborn, is Odin. Odin has been one of my most favorite summons in Final Fantasy history for quite some time. Seeing his version in Final Fantasy XIV was great. The music here was great, but I don't think it was as good as Ramu's. But I also have to say his trial has been an amazing one. Now, you may have noticed I have done a lot of these trials unsynced by myself because I want to be able to get the footage as much as I can really and do these fights by myself by analyzing it too. But it doesn't really help considering the fact that I have it unsynced, but it still is interesting just seeing how these fights goes by myself. Now, when it comes to his mechanics, of course, you have to focus on your awareness of what he's doing. Are you taking out the ads? Are you also focusing on your map positioning? Are you focusing on making sure that you and your party are well equipped for this fight? Because he is very tough, of course. He's not like the toughest out there. He will wipe the floor with you. And I definitely love his design. And I think one of the main reasons why I bring him at number 1 is because of his design and the fight alone. But I just have to say Odin comes in number 1 just because of how well they've done it. And it might be a little bit biased because of he's one of my favorite summons. Now here are some honorable mentions, of course. So yeah, those are our honorable mentions, of course. Now, if you have some of your own favorite trials or your favorite trial lists, go ahead and let me know down below, because this is all the time I have for this video. I want it to be short and sweet, so sorry if I don't get in too much detail, but next time when we jump into Heaven's Ward expansion and its trials, I will be going through so many more of these sites far more better, because of the fact that I actually begin to love the trials even more whenever it started to get to Heaven's Ward. That's all I have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave it a like. And with that being said, I shall see you all in the next one. Stay optimistic, keep it real, and peace out now.